The struggle is real.
Again, no jazz hands.
Wow. What happened to teamwork?
We have done this enough for you to know to do jazz hands. Now I just feel like
everybody
doing
point
this
at him
on purpose.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, he just did jazz hands, so that's why
I did it.
I was
late.
Better late.
So late.
Better late than never.
We know that's your motto.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
Wow.
Why don't you announce it to the world?
My bad.
Real.
My bad.
Okay, guys. So today, I'm very excited to interview our good friend James Sosa Jr. He is an actor and a writer, and we'll dive more into his bio. But of course, you know we have to do topic of the day.
Hey.
All right. So the topic of the day is going to be. I want to know what you guys think about this. Right?
Okay.
So
share with the world.
There's this article that's out. It's been out for a while,
okay.
since like November 2019, but I've never really talked about it with anyone before.
Mm-hmm.
But James Dean, who died in 1955.
Really? I thought he died like the 80s or something like that.
The 50s.
I don't know much about it. Okay, sorry.
So he just landed a new movie role. Thanks to CGI. Basically, he's going to be in a movie called Finding Jack. And the Magic City Films, which is the company producing the movie, obtained the rights to Dean's image from his family. So they have permission from his family. But the goal is to recreate a realistic version of James Dean. According to the film's directors. And to do so, they're working with a Canadian VFX studio called Imagine Engine and a South African VFX company called MOI Worldwide. And his body will be fully recreated using CGI technology, but another actor will voice his lines.
Huh, interesting.
How do we feel about the use of CGI to bring back a dead actor, essentially?
No, fam.
For me, in like a producer's standpoint, like CGI, I bet it costs a lot of money. Like, isn't it cheaper to hire an actor and make the movie instead of like doing the whole CGI?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I got two major things. One, there's a lot of young talent out there that's looking to be casted and are incredibly talented, and I think that I
should note that he's not going to be the lead. He's going to be the secondary lead.
Still,
I know
you still have a lot of
put that out
no, I know, but I it's just there's a lot of good actors out there who are hungry for being casted. They're better actors than a lot of the actors that we're seeing in some movies. Let's not name names. But that's the biggest thing. And second of all, even though his family gave you permission, what if he never wanted to be a part of that movie and never want to be? You're going to force his image into a film that he did not give you permission. You got permission from his family. And I'm not saying that the family hates him or the family wants what's bad for him. But he never agreed for that movie. You should not be messing with somebody's memory. He died. That's a chapter, and you should be remembering him as a legend, and because we still talk about him today.
Yes, he's still referenced in so many film schools and all of the classic Hollywood movies.
I even thought that he died like a couple years ago. I mean, I don't know much about. I'm starting to know more about American cinema because growing up that was not a thing in my household, in my island. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm not on board with it.
I am not on board with this at all either. I think that this is disrespectful towards acting.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know James Dean. I can only speculate this, but I feel like he would think that this is cheating. Like, this isn't true acting because these aren't my genuine reactions nor facial expressions. This is computer generated. Like, you've essentially removed the purpose of acting, which is authentically reacting to your environment.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a slap in the face towards the very idea of acting. I don't think. I mean, there are millions of actors. You're telling me not one person could fill this role? You have to get a dead guy. Like, you're basically trying to pull a Lazarus effect.
Yeah.
Like, and I think this sets a very dangerous precedent.
Yeah.
Because that is so unfair to up and coming actors.
Exactly.
That they can lose a role to somebody that's
dead.
dead.
And it's nothing to disrespect his memory, but
Not
come
at all.
on, you're
but
taking...
you had your time, you had your era.
Yeah.
And
even he's not involved in that conversation.
I know, he's not even a part of the conversation. That's what's creepy. Like, yes, you have his family's permission, but you don't have his permission. So I feel like the consent here that's fucking weird.
Yeah, and also the matter of fact, if you want to go to the fiver of the situation, the human being part of the situation is that an actor who's looking for a job is not gonna get paid. He's not gonna bring food to the table.
They say that they're gonna have an actor voice his lines,
but they're not. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna pay him the same amount that will pay an actor who's acting, because they're gonna be like, oh, he's just a voice actor. We just can't pay him half of his. And come on.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think this is a very dangerous precedent.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it once before with Audrey Hepburn when they did that commercial. It was like a Dove chocolate commercial.
Really?
And they brought, yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. It's the same thing. If you want somebody to play Audrey Hepburn, look for somebody that looks like Audrey Hepburn. I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to find somebody that looks like her, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, just the very idea of I don't.
Also with today's like prosthetic makeup and everything, like like if you look at Christian Bale, who played Dick Cheney from
Yes.
Vice,
Oh,
like
yes.
I saw the picture of the vice president and it looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to I mean, The Crown on Netflix.
I mean, I just don't know what. I guess one of my biggest things with this James Dean thing is, why does it have to be James Dean?
Right.
Why does it specifically have to be
Is
him?
it important for the story to be?
I don't know, because it's about like the Vietnam War or something like that. In the article, it doesn't state why it's important that it's James Dean.
His character name is named Rogan, so it's not important.
Oh, I just lost the article. Where did it go?
It's not important apparently, because his character name is named Rogan, so it's not even.
Like, I get needing it for the Fast and Furious movie.
Right.
When Paul Walker died, that made sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I got it when they had to do it for Star Wars with the passing of Carrie Fisher. I got it. Mm-hmm. I understand the need for that.
Yeah.
But this...
Yeah, it's a little weird.
The movie, I believe, is supposed to come out in 2021 or this year?
Apparently it's gonna come in 2020. Initial release is November 11th, 2020.
Yeah, so...
We have heard nothing about it.
I have only heard backlash that people are like, why are we doing this?
I mean, a lot of actors, one of the main actors who've been criticized in the film is Chris Evans. He tweeted, "I'm sure he'll be thrilled. This is awful." So there's a lot of actors criticizing the film. I mean, it's like you said. I think you couldn't have stated it better, saying that it's a slap to acting and actors and the art form of acting. Because
it's scary. It's absolutely scary.
I hope it stopped there. I don't think a lot of it's like Ryan said, it's expensive. You're basically gonna pay two actors.
That's not a very
wise
good producing move.
Right.
Unless in the article it states that it might be more like a marketing stunt, whatever.
Do you think like they're trying to promote the the CGI companies, like, oh, we can do all these
well,
cool
here's
stuff.
the thing with a lot of CGI companies and visual effects companies, a lot of them go belly up after helping on film.
Right.
Yeah.
They tend to go out of business, and that's a really big thing. And I remember, was it 2 years ago on the Oscars, one of the award winners. Oh Lord, I forgot.
Oh my God.
It was, but he was saying.
I just read an interesting tweet.
Wait.
I saw the tweet.
What does it say? What does it
The
say?
tweet says, even dead white men have better opportunities than the people of color actors. Well, if that doesn't sum it up.
Yes, that's another line, right? But I mean, you have Elijah Wood, Chris Evans, and Zelda Williams, who have Zelda Williams is the daughter of Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been all very outspoken of this thing, and it's a weird thing. Why would you want that? That's not him. That's not acting. That's
Chris Evans said the complete lack of understanding here is shameful.
Yeah, and maybe we can get our computer to paint us a new Picasso and
a couple of new John Lennon tunes. Because that's the thing. If it's not actually coming from the person, it's not authentic.
And it's not.
The reason why we love James Dean is because he was acting. That was James Dean's acting. Now it's just a computer's acting. That's not the same.
Yeah.
That's not an authentic response to
and Julianne Emery, an actress, she's a phenomenal actress. She says, yeah, that's not James Dean. It's his face on a motion capture performance and an anonymous actor providing voice pattern and choices. I like how it will be. I like to know how it will be credited, how the real actors will be paid, and how little this team understands the acting craft.
Yes.
It's a slap to the face.
Right.
It really
undermining
is, and
the
I
acting,
hope.
for sure.
I mean, no, I hope it goes belly under. I don't care.
Yeah.
I generally don't wish that for films because as filmmakers, I want other filmmakers to succeed.
You understand the struggle of it, but
this is a line that should not have been crossed.
Fam.
You are disrespecting a craft that has been around as long as filmmaking. They go hand in hand, and you basically disrespected it.
Yeah.
We do not stand.
No,
we are not a fan
not at
of
all.
this. Shame on you.
Shame on them. Yeah.
I said what I said.
Let's ring the bells from Game of Thrones.
If I could drop the mic. No, not this.
Shame.
No,
with the bells.
Oh, okay. Shame.
Oh, you haven't watched it. Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's shame. It's shame.
Any closing remarks?
No, nobody should do that.
No.
Even the thing is, like, again, it's not him. We got his family permission, and
his family was not acting when he was getting paid for acting. It wasn't James Dean and family.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about a different James.
Yes.
Let's talk about our James. So James Sosa Jr. is an actor from the Bronx, New York, known for The Queen of South, his roles in The Queen of South, MacGyver, and Great Ground. He was born to a Puerto Rican family, and he's extremely proud of his ancestry. James is actively known to be advocate for actors of color in the industry and accurate representations of brown and black characters. James has been acting for more than a decade and is hungrier than ever. And he's recently transitioned from New York to Atlanta, so he has experience in both of the industries. And we're excited to talk to him and get to know what the New York industry is like and what tidbits he's learned in his decade-long journey. So without further ado, we're going to call James. Well, hi, James. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
All right, so I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm an actor, and I recently transplanted to ATL. And I've been here for the past year and a couple months.
How's that been?
You said what?
The transition from being from New York to Atlanta. How have you basically coped with it?
Well, it's definitely a bit of a transition. just being an actor from New York versus, the market out here, it's definitely really, really different. I think it's definitely a bit of a culture shock for sure. And it's ironic saying that because I'm from New York. But yeah, I'm definitely transitioning.
How does the market in New York differ from the market in Atlanta?
Well, I think that the market in New York there's just a lot of issues, I think, just in the industry in general, in terms of like how projects are cast and writers and, who they're writing for. And I just think that in New York, there's just a lot of stereotyping, I think, that happens within the casting world, where I think that they don't leave much room for us as artists to create. There's this kind of like pigeonholeness that kind of happens in New York. If like you're this ethnicity, this is what you have to play. And there's this idea of like, in order to win, you have to kind of give in to the man and kind of play into these stereotypes, even if you, in your experience, doesn't fall in line with those things.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what specifically got you into acting?
I started out actually dancing, actually.
Oh.
And when I was 19 years old, yeah, I actually signed with an agency, with one of the top dance agencies in now I'm not a good dancer. Do not ask me to dance. I mean, I got a good little shoulder.
Like a little shimmy? Okay.
Yeah, I can give you a little shimmy. But yeah, so I kind of got into it. I actually did, I don't know if you guys remember, on BT Wild Out Wednesdays.
Yes.
You guys might be a little young for that, but
No.
Mahalia knows about
I
it.
am aware. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I performed at Wild Out Wednesdays, like, I don't know, like maybe over 10 years ago with my dance crew. And we were called Red Alert. And from there, I got signed with an agency. And yeah, I did that for a little bit. And it wasn't really fulfilling me really as an artist. I've been an artist since I was a kid. I love singing and drawing and dancing. And I think that I was kind of searching for a medium to express my art. And I just kind of was going through these different phases in my life. And my very first class was at Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. And it was based in method acting, as you guys, I'm sure, are aware. And I took my very first class was with Sosa Jr, who was one of the very last disciple of Lee Strasberg before he passed. And we were doing this relaxation exercises that we do in method acting, where you kind of like, you sit back in a chair and you start yelling from your diaphragm, and then your arms kind of just like get all googly. And I guess the point is, the point of the exercise was to open up your instrument and to not repeat the same movements, because as an actor, we're taught to not get into habits, because then those habits start to kind of go from character to character versus you creating something completely fresh and new. So I remember during the relaxation exercises thinking to myself, this feels fucking crazy. Sorry, can I curse?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I was like, this feels fucking crazy. But I remember right after class, it was like a 4-hour class. Right after class, I called my mom. I was 23 years old. And I said, Ma, I figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. And she's like, well, what? I was like, I want to be an actor. And that was 10 years ago. And 10 years later, I'm still here grinding.
Now, you're Puerto Rican. So how did your mother take the news of her son wanting to be an actor? How did that go?
Well, this is the thing. My mom's also a really young mom. My mom was a teenage mom. So because she's so young, my mom's always been a bit more progressive, I think, than like most Puerto Rican, parents from the Caribbean. But I will say, I would definitely say that there was some kind of semi-backlash from, I say, family members for sure, because there is this idea of like, being an artist doesn't make money. I think Caribbean people, we tend to be very like practical. Like, that's not practical. Like, go to college, get a job. So I think there was definitely a little bit of that for sure.
Yeah. And you were telling us a little bit about your acting technique. Can you expand on what exactly is your technique when you approach acting?
Well, I mean, I think that I've been really fortunate to cross train with a couple different things. You know, I've done everything from, you know, improv to Stella Adler to Meisner to method. Um, and I find that just like there's no recipes in life, there's no recipes when you're approaching the kind of work that we do. And I think for me, initially, when I get a script, the first thing that I want to identify is what is the genre? You know, what world am I playing in? And I think once I identify the world that I'm playing, and I always tell people that I look at a script the way I look at the way people look at music. On a music sheet, there's different notes, and each note plays a different sound. And when I look at a script, each line plays a different sound. And it's about finding the music within the script. And I think that's, once I figured out the genre, then I try to find the music, and I kind of go from there.
Which one is your favorite method? Because you mentioned you did study Adler and Meisner. Is Strasberg your favorite, or which one is your favorite and why?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I guess going back to what I said earlier, as far as like there being no recipes, I think sometimes it's just of finding out what works for you, what is going to ignite that, ignite you on the inside, so that it's pushing the scene forward. And it's whatever it is that you can find within yourself that's going to ignite that fire inside to kind of take the scene from scene to scene. I think that then I would say that would probably be how I feel about that, I guess. I don't think it's about a specific technique as much as it is about figuring out what's going to work in the scene.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So staying on that lane of preparing yourself as an actor, what's your process when you are getting ready to audition for a role? Do you have any specific approaches? Do you have any different ways of studying a character so you're ready when you are going to that audition?
I think that I've been doing this now 10 years, and I think that after auditioning so much, and I've been very fortunate to audition for, you know, pretty much almost every major network from Fox, NBC, ABC. I mean, a lot. I mean, I've gone out a lot of auditions, and I think as an actor, you start seeing a lot of repetition as far as the kind of characters that you're getting called in for. So I think as soon as you see the genre, as soon as you see the character, you're like, wait, I know this guy. I've been this guy already, or I've played this guy before. So I think that's really, really helpful.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on this a little bit. Okay, no, I'll backtrack. What is the biggest obstacle you face in the industry as an actor? Like, what is the major hurdle that you had to overcome?
I think the biggest obstacle, I think, actors of color, you know, brown and black face, I think, is this idea of stereotyping. You know, this idea of like, there's no one way to be brown, there's no one way to be black. And I think the industry has these preconceived notions about what something is supposed to look like, what it's supposed to sound like, what it's supposed to act like, what it's supposed to dress like. And there's all these like constructs that the industry has created to kind of keep people of color in these boxes. So I think just breaking out of those boxes and being able to step outside of that, I think, is the biggest challenge, I think, for me as an actor.
Okay, and now let's say in 2020, are you happy with the way that Hispanics are being portrayed? And if you are not happy, what do you think we should do as creatives to change that?
I think that the one thing that I'm not seeing, I think, from, you know, the Hispanic Latino community is the fact that I don't think that there's enough projects that are being written for us or being created for us. There's still lack of conversation as far as, you know, the Latin community and what that looks like. You know, I think there's this other thing that I kind of struggle with, you know, to all my Mexican brothers out there and sisters, you know, and I love the Mexican community, but in the industry, their idea of Latinidad is Mexican. And as much as I identify culturally with being Latino, I don't necessarily feel that it's, you know, being Mexican is being Mexican, and they have, you know, their own set of, you know, customs and cultures and their own ancestry and history that does not in any way, shape, or form look like mine. So I think the industry also needs to start looking at people's cultures and not just this box of, well, if you speak Spanish, you're Latin. It's like, well, I understand that, but you know, my ancestry is not the same as this guy's ancestry. So how are we going in for the same kind of roles when we're not the same kind of people necessarily? We just speak Spanish.
Right.
So that's been something that I've been struggling with a lot.
Yeah.
Eric, you talked about that a lot. Is that like when
I was growing up, I thought that I wasn't going to be successful because I wasn't Mexican. And again, this is not an attack to any Mexicans out there. We love them and they're completely underrepresented. But it's because the way that the media portrays is just like the same thing they do with Afro Latinos, that you cannot be Black and Latino. You have to basically choose one in the media. That's not it. Mm-hmm. You have Latinos who have different, like James was saying, different ancestry, different cultures. The biggest thing is like, oh, you celebrate Cinco de Mayo. It's like, first of all, that's not the independence of Mexico. Let's start over there. And second of all, that's just refers to Mexican culture, even though people here created another thing for it. So it's like, no, same thing with the Dia de los Muertos. That's one of the biggest things.
I was just about to say that growing up.
Everybody thought that.
I always thought that was like for Spanish people across the board.
And it's like, I've like in school and other conversations outside of, in the entertainment industry, you get people talking about Dia de los Muertos, and you're like, no, that's not
that's not Mexican. That's not
me. I don't know I don't think that any other Latin countries celebrate that. I think that's just particularly Mexicans, and it's just like, no, that's not us. And it's a construct that I guess Hollywood created for Latinos, and this little box that just they think that we all fit in. So that's another topic.
Right. I mean, it definitely is another topic, but even with the idea of like the word Latinidad and Latino and what that means, like now anyways, I'm struggling with identifying necessarily as Latino. Like I identify culturally as Latino, but racially I identify as mixed because that's what my ancestry is. So like even that in itself, I feel like that's a conversation that Hollywood needs to have. What does it mean to be Latino, and what does that look like?
What are you mixed with?
I'm white, Black, and Native American.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, that's basically the Puerto Rican mix. So if you have DNA tests with most of Puerto Ricans, they're gonna come. It's like, so Native American, it's basically Taino. So you're gonna have most of them are white. So most of Puerto Ricans are going to be mixed. Right. So the concept of Latinidad just being this race or this skin color, it does not fit what actually Latinos mean, which is just a group that lives in Latin America, basically. Right. So it's just a construct that people created for us, but
and even with like understanding the difference between being Hispanic and Latino, like I had no idea what the differences were until you and I talked about it. And can you explain for the viewers?
So Hispanic is somebody who talks Spanish. So basically somebody from Spain is Hispanic, but because Spain is not in Latin America, they're not Latinos, which is another conversation because you have a lot of Spaniard musicians, for example, winning Latin Grammys, and they're not Latinos. But for Latinos are people who live in Latin America. So you got people from Brazil, people from the Caribbean. You have a lot of people. I mean, I think French Guyanese, is that the names of the little 3 countries that are on top of Latin America? Sorry, there's 3 little countries that they don't speak Spanish. So they are Latinos because they are in Latin America. So yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like when Eric was telling me, because I'm Haitian, he was like,
I was like,
Haitians are Latinos. I was like, no.
Yeah, because people tend
But that's such not boule, but like that was a very controversial thing. Like
because people are like, because Latinos speak Spanish, and I'm like, no, it's something. It is again another construct that Hollywood created for a stereotype, and not only Hollywood, but people created for a stereotype. But it's like, no, that's not the definition, people. But
whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic, guys.
Sorry, guys, but
no,
that's good.
Fine. So what would your dream role be, James? Like, what is something that you would love to play?
I think for me, I just want to be a human. And I know that sounds like a really weird thing to say, But if I can just play just a human that has, you know, relationships and just like a normal everyday human with a job. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but like some people are like, oh, I want to play a cop, and I want to play this. I just want to play a human. I think humans are so interesting and they're so complex, and there's so much complexity in just humanity. To just be able to play a human, that would make me so happy, honestly.
Yeah, I think I get it, exactly what you're saying, because especially with so many stereotypical roles, it would just be nice to play a person who has relationship, who has flaws, just a person. But yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. So I know for a fact James and I are friends and we have talked a lot about scripts and all that. How do you feel that your writing, because I know that you write, helps your acting?
Um, how does it help my acting? Well, I think it's definitely an outlet for me to be creative, and it also gives me a different lens. I think because it is definitely a different lens when you're writing versus when you're acting. But I think they kind of work in conjunction together. Because as an actor, as I'm writing, I'm imagining these characters. I'm thinking about their words. What does this guy's voice sounds like? What does he look like? How does he walk? You know, what does he think about when he wakes up in the morning? You know, so I think it works in conjunction, honestly.
What are the kind of stories that you write about?
I mean, I've written a couple things. I mean, I wrote a pilot that was kind of. I mean, I mean, Eric read it and he really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a very diverse version of Friends. Like if Friends were to
I
fall into
already love it. I already love it.
And and I mean, and I think what I loved about it so much was the fact that it took place in New York City, which is where I'm from. It was a really diverse cast, which that was part of the culture shock for me coming to Atlanta, because in New York City, you'll walk into a bar and you literally will see the world inside.
Right.
You'll see people from all different parts of the world hanging out with each other. And that's something in Atlanta that I feel like we don't see often enough people from different parts of the world just sitting together, communing together, exchanging together. And I think that's kind of what the whole pilot was about. It was just about people kind of coming together from different walks of life and finding this medium ground of like that baseline of just being a human. Like we all want the same things. We all want love. We all want happiness. We all want success, and kind of taking it from there. I mean, that's really where the script was inspired from, honestly. And it was also inspired. You know, I'm in my 30s now. I'll leave it at that. I also think about the fact that as you know, as you get older, you start getting to your late 20s, early 30s. There is a bit of like, what am I doing with my life? And I think the characters in my script kind of have that moment of like, what is happening? What are we doing? Where are we going? You know? And I think that everyone can connect to that idea.
Yeah.
I love that. How does your culture affect the way you tell stories, if it affects it at all? Like, are there certain views that you end up putting in your scripts because it's just part of your belief system or your culture system?
That's interesting. I don't think I think if it's happening, it's on a subconscious level. It's not something that like I'm actively thinking about when I'm writing. I don't think I don't think about those things when I'm writing. I'm just thinking about the story and the character and how to kind of make all those things kind of connect with each other.
Yeah, and since you're really focused on characters and bringing I guess, portraying humans as humans, like you were saying, what stories do you want to see more in film and television? Since you have, you are an actor, you write, so I know that you've seen a lot of stuff. What stories do you want to see more?
I think I want to see people of color just playing humans more. You know, like I love shows like Insecure, for example. Like that show, it's not about their jobs. It's just about a group of people and their trials and tribulations. I think that we need to see more shows like that. I think people need to see us more in a human light and less as like, the cholo number one, or thug number three, or drug dealer on the corner. Like people need to be able to see people of color just like they see white people on TV, with families and jobs and just being humans versus being these characters. It's almost like we're forced to wear these masks that don't really fit us.
Yeah, they don't fit. Yeah, not everybody. I mean, you can talk to a lot of people of color. Not everybody knows what is I guess the word of being a thug or a cholo with the stereotypes. This is just again another construct created for us, but not by us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
What movies have influenced you over the years? Like what movies have influenced you?
Um,
Repeated my question.
well, you said what?
No, I repeated my question twice.
All right, cool. What movies have influenced me? I would say there's definitely been actors that have influenced me. I mean, I love Breaking Bad was one of my favorite TV shows ever. I mean, the work that Bryan Cranston did on that show was just like, I mean, I love Benicio del Toro.
I've never watched it.
You've
I've
never
never
watched
seen it. I know. It's so bad. Yeah.
Me neither.
Okay.
I
You've
just
never
want a
seen
little
it either?
pop-up. I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
not alone.
this show is it. Brian is crying. Brian hasn't seen this. Okay.
But
Continue,
yes,
James.
you were saying.
I love shows like This Is Us is another show that I really, really love. I think it's really inspirational.
Yeah,
the writing's great. I mean, there's so many shows out there. House of Cards, you know, I loved prior to that whole situation. We won't get into.
Yeah.
That was a great show. I mean, there's so much good TV right now. Honestly, there's so much good TV. I almost feel like TV right now is better than film. Honestly.
So is that what you lean more towards?
Honestly, yeah, 100%. I think there's something really special about watching a series because it's not like you get 2 hours. Like you get to grow with these characters, you get to see them evolve, and you don't get that with film. It just happens so quickly. You don't get this opportunity to really like become invested in the same kind of way that we do with TV shows. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to expand a little bit more on that, I want to get your opinion on why maybe now it's happening, that shift of you see Meryl Streep going into TV, something that you would never imagine.
Right.
And you said Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon, all these
Now
big
actors.
and now, yeah. Why do you think that is happening now, this shift with actors going into TV?
I think because TV now is looking from an aesthetic standpoint and from a writing standpoint, it literally, you can't differentiate TV from film. The quality is literally exactly the same. It used to be that TV didn't have the same visual level quality as film, and I feel like that's changed. Now you watch a series and it literally looks like something you would have seen in a movie theater, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you go about getting representation? I know that for a lot of up-and-coming actors, that is like their biggest goal is to get an agent or get a manager. So how did that process work for you?
Well, I will say this. I think that the main thing that I tell actors when they're seeking representation is you have to know who you are. And I know it sounds like a common sense type of thing, but there's a lot of actors who come out of acting school and they don't realize that it's not just like in art, there is also a business element to it. And I think that honing in on the business element kind of means, having your reel together, having a strong reel, you know what I mean? And that entails making sure that your reel is reflecting the product that you're selling. And in order to know what product you're selling, you need to know who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? Who are you really? You know what I'm saying? When you pick up a script, what really speaks to you? You know what I'm saying? I think secondly, a strong headshot. And definitely a website. I think it's so important for us to have visibility on the internet, especially while we're living in these times where there's Instagram and Facebook and, TikTok. I think it's important for actors to have visibility on the internet. I think that's super important. Yeah. And I think also making sure that you're ready for an agent. A lot of actors are so caught up on getting an agent that they forget that you're not here to get an agent. You're here to tell stories. You're here to, create art. And I think that if you can focus on doing good work, the agent will come.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit on your acting career and your there's this book called Real Inequality: Hollywood Actors and Racism, and the author Nancy Wan explains that when actors portray stereotypical roles, it can basically shatter them emotionally. Have you ever perform stereotypical roles in order to get your career, basically go ahead on your career, and has that affected you as a person?
I would say that, I had a teacher that I studied with who's very well known in the industry. He's coached, the Sheen brothers, Jennifer Aniston, and he's like in his 7 years old. He studied with Stella and, the Moscow Theater Company in Russia. And he's just a very well-respected teacher and coach. And one of the things that he said to me that never left me was, it's our job as actors to elevate the role. This is not just a thug. This is a man, a human who has a mother that loves him, may or may not have children. At the end of the day, we're playing humans. And I think it's our job to figure out ways to humanize these people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As an actor, are there things that you wish directors would do more with you when you're on set and stuff like that? Okay.
100%. I wish that, because I feel like a lot of times directors think result sometimes and not process. They don't realize that for us, it's a process. It's not just do this, be this, and it just happens. It's like there is a process for us. So I just wish that more directors would take their time in allowing the actor to process. I guess that's one of the things that I love about theater, that it's so collaborative. I think with film, it moves so quick,
right?
That sometimes the collaboration process gets kind of lost in the shuffle, and then it just becomes about the director's vision and what the director wants, and not really a collaborative effort.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That is a very hard thing to do, being on the director's side.
Yeah.
Like, it is a very hard thing to do when they're like, first AD is like, you have an hour and we need to wrap this up. And you're like, oh God.
What to do.
Yeah. I think what Eric and I have found useful is when we're directing, we go by like a three strike system, where it's like 2 hour take, like 2, you do it our way, and then the third way, we just let the actor do whatever they want. And I think that has helped us as directors, and it helped our actors as well to feel like they are also collaborating with us.
And be more comfortable with us. This is, again, a collaboration as creators. You're collaborating with the actor, with the director, with the gaffer, with the art director. This is a whole thing. I think that everybody has to see the film crew and the film entity as a whole, so that the film and the projects can actually, become successful and be successful. So yeah.
Well, James, we know you are a busy man and that you have to go. So we're gonna ask one of our favorite questions on the show.
The biggest, the biggest question.
What is your favorite movie and television show?
Well, the television show, I already told you guys.
Yeah. Breaking Bad. Okay, I remember.
And favorite movie, hands down, The Matrix.
The Matrix. Oh,
The Matrix.
We do like The Matrix. You don't like The Matrix?
You don't like The Matrix?
No.
Eric, come over here really quick. You too.
My God.
That's another conversation.
Why don't you like the... Okay, we're going to have this conversation later.
Like, please.
First, you don't like Harry Potter. Eric has a thing against orphans for some reason.
No, I don't. I just don't like Harry Potter as a character. We have established that, guys. It's just Harry Potter.
Lord. All right, James, thank you so much. Can you share your social media with the audience so they can follow you?
Absolutely. So it's Instagram.com/ my first name, James.SJR. And on my website is SosaJamesJr.com, guys. Thank you guys so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, James. Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed our interview with James. Unfortunately, he had to go, but he's a busy man with lots of auditions to do. But we love James here, so thank you again for watching. Any closing comments, guys?
It was interesting to hear his perspective from being in Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
going from New York to Atlanta,
and also his perspective of when it comes to like directing, like getting direction from the director as an actor. Yeah. That was interesting.
I think a lot of people forget that it's supposed to be a collaboration,
right?
Not just whatever the director wants.
Right.
So yeah, that was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. I wish it could have been longer. But we'll have James again next time so we can talk more and he can tell us more about the industry. As always, guys, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google, Castbox, Google Podcasts. Check out our merch store if you haven't already purchased your baby bibs or your dog bandanas, everything. Please purchase and support. And then, of course, you can always become a monthly subscriber, whether you donate $1 a month, $5, $20. Every little penny counts. $100, $1,000. No, I'm kidding. $1 million. No, whatever you want to get. But every penny counts, and we appreciate whatever you guys can donate because it takes a lot to run this podcast. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.